8 seconds. This is exactly how long it takes to implement and use the method, which I will tell in this video, which will help you to literally double your focus. And all of this is very simple and you don't need extra tool for this. You are interested? Let's go. So let's start from the most important point, how you use it and when you use it. I personally use it in the worst exams in my entire adult life, like biochemistry, neurophysiology, IELTS, and all of them I passed with a very high grades. I can confidently say that my minimum amount of percent point at these exams were over 80%. Now I'm literally a fan of this method and I use it with everything which requires some mental force from me, like studying, mental work, writing a project, something like this. Everything which literally requires from me using a brain. And what is interesting, you are able even to measure that precisely, and how to do this is also very simple, because this method not only can double your focus but also can increase massively the speed of reading. So in this way you are able to measure precisely if this method worked on you. Of course you will also feel a click in your brain that something changed for a better, but when you want to measure that precisely, when you want to have a real proof that it's working for you, you have an easy tool to really check it on yourself. This method was invented by a guy whose name was Ron Davis. And Ron Davis was a master of reading. You can say, what is that profession, master of reading? But Ron Davis was born with a really hard form of dyslexia, which made for him almost impossible or very hard to study, to read, to understand things, but most importantly, to even focus. But he, contrary to many people with dyslexia who try to hide behind paper, special documents, that they are special and they need special treatment in school, in work, he just tried to find a way to fight with his dyslexia and to create or find some solution how to switch off a little bit of its raspberries to be able to focus like a normal, healthy person. And as it usually is in cases when somebody is stubborn enough to pursue all the time for his goals, in this case also this guy succeeded. Because not only he found a way to fight a little bit with negative symptoms of his dyslexia, but also he found a way to help all people who struggle with focus, to help them a little bit with that problem and to allow them study effectively and literally double their focus. To be exact, this guy wasn't an inventor of this method. This is already very old method, known already in an ancient world. This method was already known for very different names like Chinese thinking cap, cap of a witch, but in all of these methods it comes about one fundamental thing which I'm gonna tell you soon. In our brain, simplifying very massively, we have two main networks: default mode network and central executive network. The first one is responsible for our default mode. Like when we are scrolling, when we are watching some stupid videos on YouTube, when we have our morning, evening, daily routines, it is when the default network is working on us. We don't really think what we are going to do next. We just switch on autopilot and do our decisions based on intuition, things which we already did in the past. And basically, this is not a mode when we are trying to create, learn something new, just repeating our stages from the past. And this is unfortunately a stage which we are for the most of the time during the day. And from this time, it's really hard to switch in this working productive mood, which is another network which is called Central Executive Network and which is responsible for focus, memorization and analysis. For our default mode is responsible mostly a limbic system, which is responsible also for reacting for our emotions, seeking pleasure, avoiding pain and all these easy stuffs, let's say, which we took from our animal ancestors. Let's say contrary part for this part of the brain is a DLPFC, which is responsible, as I mentioned before, for memorizing, thinking, analytic, focus. And normally it's very hard to switch fast between those two zones, those two networks of our brain. But there is one simple trick which lets to literally do that in seconds. And we can do that through changing our mind's centrum of perception. It sounds, I know, very hard and very complicated, but let me explain soon what is even that. Before that, quick warning. I said that this method gonna take you around 8-10 seconds, but for less advanced people, as you are probably, I assume now, it will take you much longer, and much longer, I mean even 30 or 40 seconds. Yes, joke aside, but let's go from the most important point. The point of changing our mind's centrum of perception comes from a very easy technique of focusing on some object and changing the way how we see ourselves in the space. So you basically need to right now to imagine yourself from a side. Like you sit in front of the table, in front of the screen, close your eyes and think for 5 seconds how you stand right now, how it looks from the behind when you are sitting in front of this table. Done? Very good. Because I wanted you to do exactly that. If you can do this, you can do my method. And to this method, you need to firstly put your hand like this in front of you and imagine that you have there big, juicy orange. You can put the orange from one hand to another to just feel it a little bit better. I say that this method gets better together with a practice. So firstly, of course, you need to put a little bit more effort. So try to put your orange from one hand to another, feel its weight, feel the smell, feel the color, feel how juicy it is. If it's done, very good. Put your orange in your dominant or non-dominant hand, whatever you want, and just imagine that you are trying to stick it to the back of your head. Right here. Right here is a special point when you stitch your orange. You still imagine that this orange is there for the few more seconds, like how it waits here, like how it's magically attached to your skull and it doesn't fall off because it's obviously a magic orange, and how you can feel its weight, feel still its smell, and imagine how orange it is behind of your head. It's done perfectly. Now open your eyes, think for it for 2 more seconds, and just start to work. Forget about that. You can start to work, you can start to write your exam, it's completely done. This method for advanced people, it takes literally from 8 to maybe 10 seconds. And of course, when you are a little bit more advanced, you don't need to already use your hands, put it, close your eyes. You can all of these activities do inside of your head, and this method still will be as effective as it was before. Personally, it was a huge game changer when it's coming to my focus, because as most of Gen Z in today's time, I also had problems with focus, because we are of course educated by TikTok, by short form content, by YouTube, when the pictures are changing all the time, so it's really hard for us to focus. So these techniques, this method, which helps us in such a massive way to increase our focus, are more helpful than ever. So thank you very much for watching this video. By the way, I have in the description my ebook, which is based on over 50 scientific researches and which is telling exactly what you should do step by step to improve the abilities of your brain to absolute maximum. So it costs right now only $10, so we recommend it a lot. Read it, buy it. Thank you very much for watching this video. See you later. Ciao, ciao.